Hello again, it's Plant Dr. Emily here today at our lovely Moana nursery on Moana Lane. And today I'm here to talk to you about a fascinating family of plants known as bromeliads. So bromeliads, one of the things that makes them so interesting is that the family has so many different species in it, about 2,500. So that's a lot of biodiversity that you can get in a group of related plants. Now, botanically speaking, bromeliads are monocots, which means they're more closely related to grasses than most other flowering plants. You can tell they're monocots due to the way that their leaves have these parallel facing veins and by the inflorescences that they'll get. Now, speaking of inflorescences, one of the most well-known bromeliads is actually the pineapple plant. They get those big, beautiful, and delicious fruits that we all know and love. So next time you're wondering bromeliad, think pineapple. A lot of those kind of features that those plants have are shared among the bromeliads. So that's that parallel veining, a lot of the really showy flowers or inflorescences, but pineapple is really the only fruit that we get from the bromeliads. Another thing that makes bromeliads really unique is that they grow two ways. So depending on your species of bromeliad, they can either grow in the ground or they can grow as epiphytes, which means without soil. So at the epiphytic bromeliads, you will find them growing on trees or in rocks, and they can live in a vast majority of climates, pretty much anywhere that doesn't freeze. Now bromeliads are also very temperature hardy. Some can handle just right about freezing, and others can handle up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So bromeliads are an incredibly well-evolved and hardy plant, which makes them even more interesting as houseplants as well. Now, one thing you might not know about the bromeliad family is that there's a large group within it that doesn't look quite like the rest, and these are our air plants. So air plants actually are in the bromeliad family. They're a type of epiphytic bromeliad, and a really interesting thing about them is that they actually almost entirely lack roots. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of root at the base, which is really only for anchorage. All of the nutrient and water uptake has been evolved to come through the leaves. Now, this is not your typical leaf-looking structure, but I assure you it gets all the nutrients and humidity it needs from the air around it, and as long as you soak them once a week, these type of bromeliads are fascinating and very easy to care for. Now, additionally to your epiphytes versus your ground bromeliads, there's another two subcategories that most bromeliads will fall into. These are your tank bromeliads and your atmospheric bromeliads. So tank bromeliads, they get their name from the deep reservoir that is often put towards the center of the plant that's designed to hold water at the base of the plant for extended periods of time. This is where most of their nutrient uptake happens as well. So chances are, if you can look down the center of a bromeliad and you see this little pool, it's a tank bromeliad. Then you have things like this cryptanthus here, which are your atmospheric bromeliads. Your air plants also fall into this category, as they are either flat or their shape is not conducive to holding water. So if you can look down at it and you don't see a spot of water in the middle, it is an atmospheric bromeliad. Now, one of the most exciting features that all bromeliads will share are their beautiful inflorescences. Now, you might look at this and think, oh, what a pretty flower. Actually, the flowers are buried deep inside these parts and are actually not very remarkable to look at. What you're seeing here is a modified leaf called a bract that forms the beautiful color of what's known as a whole as the inflorescence. That's where normally what you think would be the showy flower part is actually within the inflorescence structure. So sometimes you'll get bromeliads that will send these big stems up. Some can be as large as 15 feet tall for their inflorescences, which look beautiful and showy, and they come in so many different colors. You could honestly make a rainbow of bromeliads with the amount of variety that you get. So here at Moana Nursery, we carry a lot of types of bromeliads. One of my favorites is this cryptanthus mentioned earlier. They're also known as earth stars, and these guys are an incredibly hardy plant. They are great in terrariums. They love a good amount of humidity and bright indirect light. The cryptanthus is an atmospheric bromeliad, so you've got that flat center. But the great thing about these is that while their flowers might not be very remarkable, they're actually botanically named as missing flower because you can't really see their flowers when they come up very much. However, their leaves are stunning. They're often bred with these nice zigzag patterns, which makes them great to look at and fun to keep all year round. Now, also at our locations, we like to carry a good supply of air plants. Now, these type of bromeliads are another atmospheric bromeliad. They come in all sorts of different colors, sizes, shapes. They all grow so differently too. So whether you're looking for a really easy plant to care for or want something really unique, there is an air plant out there for you. Main thing is depending on what your air plant looks like, the care is the same. You want to soak them for about 20 minutes once a week in some water, and then you want to take them out afterwards and let them dry before you put them back. But no soil needed. Honestly, very minimal nutrient or fertilizer additions necessary. Main thing is if you get a really dense one like this, let it dry upside down so that it doesn't start to rot out in the center. These are wonderful, wonderful plants. Great for people who, if you think you have a black thumb, try killing one of these guys. They're pretty indestructible. Now, the two very showy types of bromeliads that we carry here are the Guzmania and the Neoregelia. These two groups within the family are both tank bromeliads, so this is where you get that cup of water filling in the center there. Now, one thing to note about these types is they do need a lot of light. You want to make sure they're getting at least 12 hours of bright indirect light a day so that they keep these really nice colors. You'll notice some of them have a bit of a spine to the leaf edge, but it's not so sharp like a cryptanthus, which makes them really nice to put on a desk or the table. They make a really fun centerpiece. You can also put them together in pots to make arrangements. You'll see a lot of really cool showy bromeliad arrangements, but you want to keep them indoors because remember, they can't handle the freeze. You could move them outdoors into the summertime, but the main thing is they do need quite a bit of humidity. So you want to make sure that you're not putting them in a spot that's going to be too dry or too hot for them. They are also understory plants. So a good thing about the Guzmanias in particular is that they are more low light tolerant than other types of bromeliads. So if you're looking for a nice upright Guzmania type, you can get away with a little bit less light than you can with the Neoregelias. But regardless, great houseplants. Now, if you do choose to water them from the center, which is where a lot of these guys prefer to be watered from, as that's where their nutrient uptake and water uptake happens, as the roots are more just for anchorage. You want to make sure that the water doesn't sit in there because the inflorescences do come up from the center, and if you're not careful, you can start to rot them out if you let them sit with water. So just fill them up, and then when you're done, just dump them out. So how about caring for your bromeliad at home? You want to make sure, again, bright light is preferred for all of these species. So if you don't have a lot of natural light in your home, getting a grow light is something I definitely recommend for these guys. You're going to get much showier colors. You're going to reduce the chance of leaf burn. If you have it right next to a window, sometimes they can scorch a bit. So a grow light is honestly great for all your plants, but especially your bromeliads. I would consider investing in one. We do have a lot of cool clip-on grow lights here at our nursery that you can just clip onto the edge of the pot and then they kind of hang over and they'll shine directly on your plants. You can also get some with automatic timers, which is great for if you're not at home all the time and you just want something to be on for your plant while you're gone. Now, one other very important aspect of most bromeliad care is temperature fluctuation. Most bromeliads prefer a temperature difference between daytime temperatures and nighttime temperatures of about 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So, if you've got your heater on during the day and it's a little bit cooler at night in your home, that's going to be perfect, but they do need a little bit of variation throughout the seasons as well. Again, they can handle really warm temperatures up to 90 degrees in the home during the summertime, but in the wintertime, they do like to be kept a little bit cooler, more around the 60, 65 degree temperature range. Now, humidity is also very dependent on temperature. Got them in a really hot spot, they're going to need a little bit more humidity. If you got them in a cooler spot, a little bit less humidity is needed, but still around 50 to 75% is ideal for most bromeliads. Now, this does not mean mist them. You do not want to mist your bromeliad really ever if you can help it, especially your air plants. Misting them is not equal to a watering. So you want to be sure that if you don't have a humidifier, you can either group your plants together so they'll share and create their own ambient humidity, or get a pebble tray, which is super easy to set up. You can just take a little bowl or a plate or even a plastic drip tray, fill it with pebbles, fill it with some water, and then set the pot around the pebbles, so that way it's not wicking up water continuously, but as the water evaporates, it's going to raise your ambient humidity and keep your bromeliads looking lush and beautiful. Now, fertilizing bromeliads. Bromeliads are really interesting because they can actually handle a little bit more hard water than some of our other plants. They are a little bit sensitive to salt buildup, so if you are using water from your tap, just make sure that you're flushing it out every once in a while so that you're not getting too much salt built up, especially if you're watering the soil, because that can really damage the plants. But as far as the plants themselves go, if you're watering from the center, you will be able to get away with using tap water as long as you're, kind of flushing it out every once in a while. And again, don't let the water sit in the middle, or that's going to really rot out your plant easily. When it comes to fertilizing your bromeliads, you want to make sure that you use a very dilute amount of fertilizer, because again, too much salts can really throw off the balance, especially because most of your bromeliads are going to be absorbing it through their leaves, not their roots. So it's an entirely different structure, and they also photosynthesize very differently too, which is part of why getting your fertilizer balance, your humidity, and your temperature are so important, because if these things are out of balance or if they're not quite right, your bromeliad won't be able to photosynthesize quite as well. So a couple important key facts about bromeliads that makes them different from other plants, but honestly some of the most rewarding plants you can grow in your collection. Now, about displaying your bromeliads, what's really cool is that since most of them will grow on the side of trees that we carry, you can actually mount them. Similarly to how you see staghorn ferns mounted on walls or on little wooden displays, you can do the same with bromeliads. They will actually prefer more of an orchid mix rather than a soil, because growing in soil is often way too dense for their structural roots. And again, their roots aren't grabbing much nutrients from the soil. It's more about giving them some structure. So orchid mix is perfect for that. We have our own Moana blend, or any of our sales associates can help you find the best mix for your bromeliad at home. Well, that's it for our bromeliad talk today. I hope you learned something and enjoyed getting to see all these beautiful specimen plants that we have here. And again, if you have any questions, anyone at our Moana nursery is happy to help you out. We have lovely, lovely staff members who would love to see you go home with one of these beautiful babies right here. Add them to your collection today, and we'll see you next time.